Hey, I'm Tim, and this is the Love at First Sight podcast, a podcast for SaaS CEOs and developers that truly want to learn more about design and care about it, but they're not designers that find it too complex. In every episode, we discuss how to design products that become sticky and unforgettable. We dive into the topics of taste, UX, growth, and conversions, and we share practical tips and frameworks you can add into your development process. Enough with the intro, so let's dive into today's episode.
Yeah, officially welcome to the podcast, and thank you for making the time today and joining me to have a cool conversation around AI and product development. And we always start the episode by having an intro about who you are and what is your story for anybody who's watching to get familiar with it. So yeah, feel free to share a bit of kind of your personal story, but also the company story of Oneteam, how you started, what was the idea, and so on.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Guido. I'm CTO and co-founder of a company called Oneteam. So what we do is we help companies turn their customer-facing workforce into their biggest competitive advantage by connecting, engaging, and developing them via one single mobile platform. So that's a really big vision from the start already. We're basically having all these different software tools, but then combined into a single platform. So it took a while. We're already busy for it for about 11 years. Personally, I'm already coding more than half of my life actually. I think I started about when I was 13 or 14. I started coding. My dad
Nice.
pushed me like a book called HTML for Dummies when we're going to France on a vacation holidays. So that's
Love it.
quite cool. And then I started making like game databases and stuff like that on his laptop because I didn't have my own laptop. So yeah, I've been into like tech software from like a really young age. I started building websites as a freelancer for like the neighbors, right? My dad knew the neighbors. They had like this salon and they needed a website. So I made this WordPress website back then. Now I would never
Nice.
use WordPress again, but it was kind of cool. Recently I also had a discussion with him about it because it's quite crazy how that went. Um, but yeah, one team we're busy for about 11 years. We're Yeah, I think the first couple of years were really rough. We had a really big vision, but me and my co-founder, we were back then about 19 years old. I was studying computer science, and that's how we met. Because we're from the same village, and we thought, hey, there are so many nice consumer apps, right? WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat. But if you're working at this company, like the schedule is printed out hanging on in the canteen. You need to go in the canteen, you need to see what's this Excel sheet, and then you can see, okay, when you have to work and when not. All of the news was printed out on this like these bulletin boards. You were thrown in WhatsApp groups, and we were like, why, if we have so many nice apps, right, as like a consumer, why is there not a good app where everything comes together for work? And that's when we started like really developing this. So it started really simple with a Facebook-like feed where the company would post things on, where colleagues could post things on, where people could share if they could not work tomorrow, and everybody get push notifications and could take over the shifts, and so that's really what it started about. And then we started getting our first customers, supermarkets back then, and now fast forward, we're really grown into like this big platform. Where we really help companies, connecting and engaging and developing their whole frontline workforce. So these people are usually not working behind the desk like we do. About 85% of the global workforce doesn't work behind the desk, right? They're working in hotels, in restaurants, in bars. And
Pretty
they're
wild, right? I
it's a
forget that
quite a big
sometimes.
market, yeah, actually. And we can
Yeah.
easily have like tons of software apps. We can all tap between them easily with our browser. But imagine you're working at, let's say, like H&M, right? It's a customers of ours, and you will get thrown in all these WhatsApp groups. Your onboarding is being done via a manual. You're also invited to this scheduling software, and you're also getting like surveys from like a different software tool. Like all of these things are really scattered and outdated. So yeah, we're basically bringing that together. within a single platform. So it's a big
Love it.
vision, but yeah, we're really helping a lot of cool companies. We power now about like 3,000 locations in the Netherlands mainly. And we have also customers like Germany, Austria, even Latvia,
Mm,
those countries. So it's been a
love it.
journey, and but really exciting. Yeah, for sure.
Love it. Love it. And would you say that you have a very specific ICP, like ideal customer profile?
Yeah, so our ICP is basically hospitality minded brands where the
Hmm.
employee makes a difference in the guest experience, right? So
Ah.
that's really specific because what you see there in hospitality, especially, and also in retail, the turnover is so high. They hire like tens of new people every month, right? So how do you make sure they will be onboarded correctly? How do you make sure they are really part of your brand, part of the culture? Because that makes them stay longer. And that's like the big problem in these markets is that the turnover is so high because there's no employee engagement, right? Like the communication is really bad. They're thrown in WhatsApp groups. Manager have all these notifications going on their phone at night
Mm,
when they're not working, right? So that's really
yeah.
why we focus on this ICP. And they're, yeah, like the non-desk workforce. So they're
Yeah.
not behind their desk. So they need like a mobile app. So yeah, that's
Mm,
really where we shine. So we have like multiple products. We help companies with onboarding, with offboarding, with training them via e-learnings and mobile learnings. And then we have also like a
mm,
communication hub with a social timeline where the company can easily share news. So for example, let's say H&M, they started a little bit when COVID hit, they were turning into a customer,
mhm,
actually, and they were doubting if they should implement this tool organization right.
mm,
So it's about I think 3,000 employees or something back
yeah.
then, and it was a project, but they never regretted it because with one team, there was such an easy way to reach all of their employees with with a tab, right? Everybody gets a push notification about what's happening, what the new policies are, what they are doing, if they're opening their stores, yes or no. Previously, how that would work is they would email regional managers. Regional managers would email store managers. Store managers would
Mm,
tell it to the people working on the floor, right? But
yeah.
most of them are part-time. So there's a lot of people that will never get the news, right?
Mm,
Via this mobile platform where everybody is together, we bring everyone together. They have like different groups. They have like a group for their own location, for their own department. So visual merchandise employee at Amsterdam can share what kind of things they did that helped
mm,
customers doing X, Y, Z. And they can share that with the location in all the way in the south, let's say, right? In Limburg. But
mm,
previously that would never happen. Right. So you get
mm,
this shared experience all across the board with
mm.
organizations with so many locations. So that's really really cool. So yeah, our ICP is quite specific, and even
I
more
love it.
specific that we try to look for organizations with at least two locations,
Hmm.
some
Hmm.
100 or 120 to 50 employees, still about 7,000 employees.
Nice.
Because if you're like, let's say you're an organization or a company with like 60 people or 50 people, you can work with WhatsApp groups. It's fine, right? But if you're like two or three or 400 people, WhatsApp groups will be such a mess to communicate.
Mm,
It's like,
exactly.
it's really messy.
And quick question on this. Love the answer. And side note, I'm not gonna go off topic, but I was seeing your website, like just go deep into the product before we have the episode and everything. And how to say I love your product marketing. Like I saw the videos, like the Apple style videos where you're making the presentation with the big board, with the big screen and everything. It's yeah, like I really love like the whole execution and that it feels like as a company you pay attention to details, but it's something we're going to discuss a bit later around the
Yeah.
design
Hey,
culture.
thanks.
On the ICP, I wanted to ask a quick question. What is the life of your ICP, like of your ideal customer before? What I get from what you're saying is like usually they're using something like WhatsApp. So they have scattered communications and group apps, pretty much group
Yeah. So
messaging
they
apps
have
where it gets
both.
insanely busy.
Yeah, so most of the times what they're having is they have like an outdated intranet that only desk people can see. So people
Mm,
work on the floor, they will never see that. They would
yeah.
have WhatsApp groups. So every location
Hmm.
would have a WhatsApp group, maybe even the departments within the locations. They would also do their onboarding quite outdated. So the onboarding, especially in our ICP, right? They hire tens of people a month. So that takes a lot of time, right? And it's all done via paper-based checklists. What needs to happen in the first month, and do this and that, and then they register that. So that's also what we digitize, right? So we see really that HR is saving tons of hours, and also managers.
Mm,
Because this whole onboarding experience is so streamlined, which is quite an important part of new people, right?
mm,
If you're onboarding, let's say you start working in
yeah.
a company and your onboarding is really, really bad. Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
what is this kind of company, right?
Yeah. What is
I've,
the space? Yeah.
yeah, what is this place? And with one team, they're invited before their first working day, right? So they already get to know the colleagues before their first shift. They get to
Mm,
go through their onboarding, what is expected of them, what are the rules, um, yeah,
mm,
what the company is about, right? So that's also a part. And we recently launched something called performance management, and we're
okay.
basically digitizing their like the performance reviews, right? So I
Got it.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, probably you with your team, most companies, yeah, they have these quarterly performance
Hmm.
reviews where they sit down together. Hey, yeah, how's it going? What are the goals, etc. This process is at most of our ICPs like also via paper. So they basically have this paper form. They go sit with
Hmm.
the manager and the employee. They go to sit together, and they're gonna go through the form. They're gonna set a signature. They scan it. They put it in the HR system. Yeah, really outdated. And because it's so,
Mm,
it's also, it feels like it's like a whole process. Yeah, the paper, you need to sit together, and it's
yeah.
like it feels a bit clunky, and that's why most companies don't do it, because it's not streamlined. So we also recently added that, for example, and really streamlined via one team. You just the performance reviews are basically scheduled in advance automatically, based
Nice.
on the days in service. The manager and employee get push notification. They get a really nice experience. First, the employee needs to fill in their performance review, and the manager, and then you get nice animations. Hey, it's time for coffee, and right. So we really try to, yeah, make this experience also really, really
More
nice, and also
delightful.
not
Yeah.
too detailed. Because
Mm,
we also believe, like, let's keep it like really simple. The performance review at our ICP is also really different at the performance review for, like, let's say a corporate, where corporates can maybe have like goals and KPIs and everything linked together. But for, let's say, like a retail company, it's like less detailed. So
mm,
like
yeah. Love it.
yeah, that's why it took a long time, because we're basically combining multiple software companies in one, right?
Exactly.
So that
Yeah,
also,
exactly.
we have a little bit of a struggle with marketing, because we're doing so much and we want to stay lean and mean with our team. But now with AI, if
Mm,
can, yeah, do more with this team size. So yeah,
yeah.
it's awesome time.
On this, a quick comment is, yeah, it's, that's why I love B2B SaaS and why I've decided like to build a business around B2B SaaS, because it's, I like to say, I mean, this is a bit off topic, more kind of a personal kind of a take, but like with B2C products, you see a lot of times that they're more about like stealing your attention, or like, especially when it comes to social media and so on, they're really focused on more of addiction, I would say. Whereas with B2B, you really make people's life easier. Like it's the promise of design. It's like, we make your life better. And it's really happening, and it's on the context of work life. And
Yeah.
it's really, yeah, I really love like everything you've shared and how you're actually helping that industry. And also the other thing that the more that I talk with SaaS founders, the more fascinating it feels is how every like piece of industry is different. So, for example, we work with ZenMaid, a scheduling software for cleaning businesses in the United States, and we're specialized in residential cleaning, because commercial cleaning is a different, or Airbnb cleaning is a different kind of story, and you have software with different specialties and specialization there. And it's kind of a similar story. It's like people have scattered tools, it's a mess, they lose a lot of time, and they want to bring things like in one place, like all the notes, the billing, the invoicing, and just have like all of their data in one one place. And it's interesting that you were discussing about the onboarding, because it's one of the topics we started discussing in the team as well. Like, I'm not sure if you heard of Trenual, that is popular on that sector. It's like you create kind of a knowledge base for your employees essentially, and they can track the progress and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's simpler than what you guys are building, honestly. And yeah, I really love the approach of bring everything in one tool. And my personal feeling is that this is where I see, like, the more that I spend time looking at the customers and not the trends of the SaaS industry and all these things, is actually they just want to simplify their life. And you can really simplify your life if you bring everything into one place. There is a lot of value to be found. And now with AI, you can get also like smarter data because of these, smarter insights because you have all the data centralized. It's
For sure.
really interesting. Yeah.
I think the data point that you made is like really, really true as well. We see that we're combining
Mm,
so many data points that we can really almost predict. And that I think
yeah.
it needs to be ethical, obviously, but like we can see based on like specific engagement if people did their onboarding on time or if they did
Yeah.
not, or if they're doing their training like regularly, right? If they're like that shows something, right? And people
Mm,
that are not engaged are most likely to go away and leave your company, right? So we can already like give some kind of nudges to these companies. Hey, look at this person, the engagement is falling. Maybe talk with her or him,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
that in turn like might cause that this person does not leave the company and stays longer,
Mm,
right? And if we're only being able to reduce turnover by 1 or 2%, which we
mm.
easily do, like the ROI of like the subscription at the companies we work with is like
Pays for itself.
pays
Yeah.
already like like tenfold at least.
It's very interesting you're mentioning this topic. Like, we've seen for clinic businesses, people would think, oh, like the number one problem usually is like sales or marketing, but the number one problem is employee retention. Like, they turn way too fast, and it costs a lot of money and effort to actually bring new people, train them, and so on.
It
So
costs
yeah,
like on average, it costs $3,000 dollars or euros to onboard a new
mm,
person, right? Like in all the lost
yeah,
productivity and the hours that managers
mm,
take, HR need to invest, train this person, get it up to speed. So if we're at least like let's say we make sure 200 people don't leave your company each year, 200 times 3,000, yeah, that's a big
mm,
number, and we're
yeah,
not that
yeah,
expensive then. We
yeah,
should
yeah,
increase
exactly.
the price actually.
Exactly. Yeah, it always comes down to return, and that's the vibe that I also get it from your website. Is like, you have some SaaS companies that you can really tell they don't really know what they're doing from the website. Like with you, like, you can articulate the value, and this is like for me when I talk with the founder, like one of the first things, like, make it clear that they know who they're helping and exactly how they're helping them, because you can describe the value in such a simple way and really communicate that this is why our price makes sense, because this is the return you get
Yeah,
over that investment. So yeah,
yeah.
love the comment on that. So yeah, before we dive into like AI product development and like all the stuff, I want to just discuss briefly a bit about making, yeah, the topic on the agenda is like making your SaaS love at first try. Like you mentioned about delightful details, which something that I really appreciate when I see founders that really sweat the details. It's not something that many founders do. So I'm curious. One of the questions that I have is, what is it sounds a bit like industry jargon, but I do it on purpose to get your reaction, is what's your aha moment? Like, is there any aha moment for when somebody signs up to your product? Because the reason that I'm asking is, when it comes to onboarding a new user into the product, you want to communicate the value. And I've seen that products that have this cool approach of all in one place, it can also be very challenging for the onboarding experience. So I'm curious, how do you tackle that at the moment, or is it like a pain you're experiencing? And with the aha moment, I'm asking essentially, if you feel there is one or more moments where people are like, oh, now I get it, like this is the value of this product. That's why it's so cool when they sign up.
Good question. I think um, from an employee perspective, yeah. So we have like a really like default onboarding, right? We get to know you about the platform, what it does. Then you're like thrown into the hub, what we call it. It's like the home feed, and there it is already
Mm,
saying, "Hey, welcome to H&M. Glad that you've joined
mm,
us. here is
Mm.
your onboarding, right? And then you start doing your onboarding. It's a little bit of Duolingo style with games
Yeah.
that you have to like, for example, you have like some courses or some content screens what H&M is about, what the history is about, and you have some small games to make sure you remember what is about, and then
Yeah.
also like for like the rules or what is being expected of you. And then sometimes we have all of these confetti things, we give you points, right? So we
Yeah.
try to gamify it a little bit.
Mm.
But that's, I think, also still functional, perhaps, in the sense that I'm not sure if like the employee gets the aha moment. If that makes
Mm.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
One.
think the biggest aha moment probably would be that we have a feature that we allow every new person at the company to introduce themselves to the location they work in, and they
Mm.
get high fives. So we don't have likes like Facebook and stuff. We have a high five,
I
right?
love
Because the high
it.
five is like the team
The
feeling, right? We
celebration.
get it
Yeah.
more. So now you can high five, but you can also like laugh, congratulate, like the multiple like types, right? Because we at some point we also had like really tragic news that's being shared on the social feed, and then if
Yeah.
somebody is like ill or something, it's a bit weird to high five, right? So now
Yeah.
we introduce some other like types as well. Um, but yeah, I think that's the biggest aha moment before your first work
Mm.
day, and you introduce yourself. All of these people are commenting on your introduction, right? It's being publicly shared on the social timeline, and yeah, people are just saying, "Hey, welcome, Jim. Welcome to H&M. Glad to see you, and see you soon." Like all of these colleagues, right? And you didn't even start working yet. Like
Mm.
that's already the first start and of bonding with like your employer and your team. So I think that
Mm.
if I need to think about like an aha moment, that would probably be it. But then like yeah, we really spend time on like all of these edge cases, right? Like a simple thing like animations.
Yeah.
Now with AI, animations are so easy to make, so we're doing
Mm.
that a lot, and also like these how do I say, like the animation, but also like empty states, right? All these edge cases which you normally would not think of. Because I think
Yeah.
traditionally, and that's all changing a lot in the last couple of years, but when we started like 11 years ago, B2B enterprise or small medium enterprise software was really functional.
Yeah. I
And we
wasn't
still
expect
see
to
that,
be
right? We're
delightful.
integrating with a
Mm.
lot of HR and workforce management vendors like scheduling software. Really functional. Like there's not too much product sauce being added, right? Like the product taste. I think you were also talking about it in some other episodes, like the taste of product. And we really
Mm.
try to look for how can we make it not functional, right? How can we just not say, hey, no courses found, right? If you don't have any courses left, but how can we make that nice with like a nice animation? Hey, it seems to be that you're up to date with a nice confetti. Good job, right? It's a whole different
Yeah.
way of
Exactly.
looking into products. And I think in B2B software, that's now changing a lot, right? You have like so many beautiful products, but like I think 10 years ago, that was not really the case. So yeah, good to see that happening as well. But still a lot
Yeah.
of work to do, I think.
Yeah,
A
that's
lot.
something that is one of the parts that I'm really excited about. And like back before we started, Connor, when I made the intro about growth and taste, like combining these two, that you need to design for growth and to make the company drive progress and create value. Because no matter how delightful the product is, number one priority is like we need to solve a core problem and make sure that it's easy to use. And then comes all the delightful details. And it's something that I'm fully on the same page in terms of beliefs on what you said, that in 2026 and in the future, not just this year, like it's gonna be expected more that you sweat the details and you actually,
Yeah.
it's not like B2B and like B2C is cool, B2B is boring. Like B2B is gonna stop being boring. Like you can see it already with the branding of the cool companies. Like I use Notion a lot, for example, is one of the products that I really, really love. And I really like the whole creative direction, even the merchandise that they do. You even see like, I'm getting a bit off topic, but for example, Claude, they even do pop-up stores like cafe stores, or I think they they created their own coffee stores, which is like really cozy places for thinkers where they can go and think. And it's really beautiful brand touch points because you associate them that this is a tool for creativity, for deep thinking and
I
so
agree.
on. So yeah, branding
And Polymarket as well. If I like some company on top of my mind, I think Polymarket I think in
yeah.
Washington they made, and like in DC, they made this whole Wall Street cafe, I think, where you have
Oh,
like all
okay.
these big screens because Polymarket is like the betting
Yeah,
on
trading. Yeah.
trading. So they have like these big screens, like you're inside like a trading center, and it's also really crazy that
Mm,
brands are now taking it offline as well.
yeah, exactly. The
Usually with
offline experiences.
G-money, that makes it more easy to do, but
Right.
still.
That's a good detail to notice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have a lot of money to
Yeah,
spend on these. True,
yeah.
true. So last question before we dive into the specifics of product development, AI, and so on. One of the questions that I have is one of the biggest recent challenges in terms of growth that you had. Like, if something specific comes to mind. Like, for example, things that we've seen with SaaS companies that they hit some plateaus, right? Like you reach your first million, then it kind of plateaus and you need to find a way to break through that. And many times it's not just about small optimizations. The product, it's about something bigger, maybe your growth strategy or like the team setup or that you don't have, let's say, customer success. It could be all kinds of different things depending on the company. So I'm curious, is there something that comes to your mind?
Yeah, for sure. I think that the main thing that we've been doing in the last couple months/years is like we kept pivoting on like what is now or like what is like really the value prop, right? Like we're now we think now it is improved way better. We see it with our win rates. We changed the whole story. We went from like a couple of years ago, really from feature selling to like really outcome selling. We really narrowed down our ICP. So before we would say, hey, we're for every company with non-desk employees, right? So we are also for, like, say, retail companies that have like one
Mm,
location. We were like, yeah, yeah, fine, right? You can use one team. Why not? And it made it really hard, I think,
mm,
um, to 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 really let the customer know for who we are, right? Because if you're for
yeah.
everyone, for who are you actually, right? And
In the
now
end, you're for no one.
to
Yeah.
have we seem to narrow down way nicer now with like really the customer facing teams where guest experience makes a difference for a company.
Mm,
So that's the whole strategic angle now that we're looking into, and it seems to be paying off. We directly saw it in our win rates, which were doubling.
nice.
So that's
Well
interesting.
done.
So, but yeah, that takes a lot of time, right? You don't know what you don't know. So we kept pivoting until things look better on the numbers side. So, but
Yeah,
still a lot of work to do. I think this is a constant process, right? You have to be really egoless in terms of
true,
trying to change the direction,
true.
right? Because the market is letting you know if it's good direction or not, because otherwise you will
Yeah,
grow easily.
yeah,
Um,
true, true.
so
It's
I
more
think
for
like the
less.
whole and also the fact that we are such a big platform, right? We basically bundle, I think, maybe 3 or 4 software companies we have in one app,
Yeah,
which is
true.
required for our ICP. But we could
Mm,
also just sell to desk companies. We just have like a really beautiful e-learning and onboarding and offboarding tool. We could sell it to desk employees. But we didn't want to because we took it to our mobile platform. So but
mm,
bringing over a message for such a big product, was quite hard, I think, as well previously. But
mm.
that's also a constant process. Sometimes I wish if we just were a internal communication tool, then it's like a really
It
way
was
easier
simpler.
way of marketing, right? But now we're like
Yeah,
platform with onboarding and offboarding, with surveys, with e-learning, with performance management. So that's I think the biggest struggle that we had. But yeah, it seems to be paying off now. We're just continuing to work on like improving the messaging every month until it's good, if it's
yeah,
ever good.
yeah. Yeah, it's a work in progress. Like the
Yeah,
product, it's never good enough. Like it's good enough for now, but it can always be better. That's what I
yeah,
mean. So
for
it's same
sure.
thing with marketing because everything is evolving. Yeah, that's a fascinating topic. The whole idea of in this case, I would say it's called. We could say that you niche down to like a more specific industry. Is something I'm a big fan of because it's one of the things where you can see how the business strategy can have an impact on literally everything. Because you could say our messaging is not good, our marketing person or copywriter, they're not good. But many times it's something deeper, most of the times, and it's about foundation. The foundation is who are we serving? Is it clear? If it's not clear, I cannot generate clear copy, or I cannot make a design that feels really special to these people because I don't know who I'm designing for.
Yeah,
And it's like one of the things that once you kind of improve it and you make things more specific, everything starts getting more focused. Like the product
yeah,
strategy, it's easier to come up with features. The growth strategy, because you know to who you're selling, you can go deeper and find better ways
yeah,
to sell to that audience. So it's for me, it's one of the most fascinating business topics of like, how well do you know your customers? And it's something that you see a lot in software companies that they don't because they have the mindset of building a tool. But actually, the right mindset, in my opinion, is you're building a solution for a specific audience, and it
yeah,
happens to be a tool in a way, a
yeah.
digital tool.
And especially
So
now, I think that's like the whole um, service as a software movement that we're seeing now with AI, right?
mhm.
That I think like a tool, especially in the age of AI, um, a tool is just a tool. Everybody will easily make tools, right? Maybe in 2 years, every point solution is also like a big platform. So
Mhm.
how do you differentiate then if everything is a tool? The only way you can differentiate, in my opinion, is I think now with really the white glove support that we're now also implementing, right?
Okay.
Because um, yeah, and also I think the brand and how focused you are on the outcomes of the customer instead of just saying, "Hey, you can sign up here, you can use it." I think it's a little bit of like a different mindset maybe that we're now going into because our competitors they all use AI as well, right? They can build everything we have. So yeah, what's the difference between we and them?
Yeah.
I think that's also a really interesting thought experience to see how that will evolve and how your company has to evolve as well.
Yeah. Now I think it's a good time to jump into the AI, and we can start with the AI in your product, and then go into the processes and like how you use AI to build the product. But let's start actually with AI inside the product. So you mentioned that it's gonna get easier that everybody can build their own tools, right? Yeah, I got it correct. So on this, honestly, I have mixed thoughts. So there is all this paranoia, in my opinion, because it's just typical LinkedIn people doing the LinkedIn typical stuff. And they were talking about the SaaS apocalypse and all these things. I'm like, okay, I'm open. I don't want to have a big ego. I'm open. Just tell me, like, let's hear more about it. But it's just like all these contrarian stupid takes for like engagement, because in the end, the more I started to think about it, and that's my personal take, and I'm curious to hear like yours as well. This is that it's easy. It's not always easy. Like first of all, it depends on the scope of the tool, right? It's not easy to build on one team. Like we're talking about 11 years of iterations and deep thinking and research to come up with a solution. Because of AI, you cannot just one shot it like in one prompt or even like a month. So the first thing is that it's getting easier to create the V1, but maintenance and everything and iterations is where all the magic of software is. It's not about creating a first version. It's about fixing the bugs that they're going to come up and like maintaining the whole thing, iterating it, getting the feedback. Like if you build an internal tool for your company, who is the owner of the tool? Who is responsible? Let's say it's you. People are going to start giving you requests and suddenly you're the CEO of a tool in the company and you're busy with that. So
Yeah,
still, maybe what could happen is that in big enterprises, instead of renting a SaaS, they built a team internally, like a small SaaS company, essentially, in the company that the only customer is this enterprise company. This I could see happening in large companies, but even there, not fully sure because still compliance, data protection,
yeah,
security, there are so many things that an enterprise SaaS has to solve in order to be able to sell to these companies that is not as easy to replicate with a team of 2 or 3 people. So the economics, honestly, I have no idea. Like I haven't go so deep into the research, but I don't have confidence that the economics really work. And it still feels like better to just have a software as a service. And it's been always like that. It's software as a service. You rent it because you don't need to worry about it anymore. You
yeah,
outsource the responsibility of how people are going to communicate internally. Are outsourcing this responsibility to one team. It's their job now. It's not my job. That's why I'm paying them. So yeah, that's kind of in terms of like SaaS apocalypse and custom tooling and so on with AI. I feel like there's so much noise, and I don't feel like things are changing that much. In the end of the day, it feels kind of businesses are still businesses, and they still need tools. It's just that these tools are getting smarter. That's happening for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious about how you feel on that topic.
Yeah. So I think also I saw all of these messages with the engagement farming obviously as well. So I think if I speak at least for our company and our software, is I then ask the question, who do you trust more to
Mhm.
give the outcome we are delivering at this moment, right? So we help
Love it.
companies to make their customer facing workforce as best as possible, right? So we have all of these customers, we learn from all of these customers, we see what's happening in the market, what trends there are. Based on all of these knowledge, we are building the product, right? So who do you trust more? Like if you're vibe coding and bringing this internally,
Yeah, an
what are you
employee
building?
that's gonna do it.
And do you think the
Mm.
outcome will be better, right? Because I bet it won't be, because you're just building something. Let's say you copy one team. What do you build next? Based on what knowledge? Based on all of the internal requirements. But do you think that your internal team is more capable of bringing you the outcome that we are now delivering because of all of these knowledge with HR, what's happening, with all of the insights with our other customers that we build on top of, right? So, and that's for a platform, I think is still powerful. Still, we are quite mission critical because all of the operational internal communication is happening within one team. So do you want to have that internally, and do you want to build that yourself, maintain it? The risk of it breaking, is it worth it to
Exactly.
your whole company not being able to communicate internally? Let's say a Slack, right? Let's say I vibe code a Slack internally. Yeah, if it breaks, it will be a hard time, right? So why?
Exactly.
I mean,
It's very
Slack is probably
critical.
easy to vibe code, for real.
Mm.
I mean,
True.
so yeah, but I think this whole the thing, what I think though is like the companies which are really like the small point solutions, they might have a harder time. But to be
That's
fair,
for sure.
those are
Mm.
mostly not that expensive. So let's say you pay
Mm.
$100 a month for, I think Calendly, let's say a typical example.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think
Yeah. Yeah.
Calendly in terms of like vibe coding could be easily vibe coded.
Vibe coded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. But then you pay, let's say $100 a month. I vibe code it. I'm busy with it maybe a week because like I can go with AI, I can go to 80% really quick, maybe in 2 days or one day, or
But the
maybe,
last 20,
and the
yeah.
last 20 will take a trip or maybe 4 or 5 times as much, right? So then
Mm.
I'm busy for a week. And then if I calculate that back in like the hourly wage, right? It doesn't make sense because
Mm.
I pay the investment that I make. I pay that back maybe in maybe it cost me 4 years of Calendly subscription. So yeah, and then I'm not even
Yeah.
talking about the opportunity cost. So I think it's a little bit overrated as well. I think also like what was really happening in the market was all the AI agents. So will the pricing seats, will that be in danger, right? But what you saw recently as well, I think there were some numbers coming out from some, I'm not sure what
Many?
company it was. I think maybe Salesforce or
Okay.
something, that they were really saying, hey, but now if you have so many agents, why do you need so many seats? And they had like a price
Okay.
per seat, right? Um, but now what you see, the seats, I mean, there's still a number of users using
Mm.
Salesforce. But now on top of that, there's also like the usage on tokens, right? So
Yeah,
what
which
you
can get
see now,
super expensive.
there is
Mm.
even more. They are generating more revenue. Where before they were like, hey, but if you don't need 10 people, but you can do it with 2, yeah, maybe you will lose 8 seats. But that's in
Yeah.
practice, in real world, it's not the case, as you can see as well with Salesforce, because agents are also doing more. Um, and they're basically augmenting people, right? I think
Mm.
people at the beginning especially were really scared to be replaced. But I mean, obviously you see a lot of big layoffs in tech also recently, but Cloudflare, I think, a lot.
Yeah, like
But
Coinbase. But many people say that this is just kind of they use AI as the way to kind of like get rid of people. Like I
yeah,
found some people that do really nice commenting of this, and yeah, it's I fully agree with everything you said. Like that's why I love talking to founders, because you're like you think about numbers, like output, return on investment, and these kind of things. And the county exam is beautiful. It's like it's $100 per month. Sure, it's easy to write code, but is it worth it? That's always the question. Like, is it worth spending time on this when you can spend time on focusing, like spend your time on growing your business and generating like 5 times more
yeah.
of revenue?
Spending time on business is way higher leverage anyway.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
exactly.
would spend 1 week more instead of vibe coding the tool that we're paying.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And now we can dive into like also the design and development process. And let's start with AI, since it's the hot topic and the one we really want to dive into. Is actually the question there is, how are you using AI at this moment, like internally? And I guess there are also like what we discussed before, like I guess there how we use it also in the design process and everything, and what we've personally seen. But yeah, I'm curious about your current kind of a stage of AI implementation in the
Yeah,
company, and
yeah,
how you
sure.
think also about AI. So feel free to share some things around the mindset. How do you see AI, and what is the true value of AI in the company, and then how you use it as well?
Yeah, so we've been, I think, using AI in our development team, I think already for 2 years. So we started when Cursor came out. I directly got everybody a subscription to get in like the mindset of how does it work, right? The new paradigm. Basically, you had this rubber duck, as we call it, with engineering, right? That you talk to if things are breaking, and now you will do it with AI. It started out as like a pair programmer, right? Which was quite funny. But back then the models were not that good, right? You had the auto completion and stuff. But now I think, yeah, what like our AI workflow is now, yeah, adopted across the whole company. So our tech lead is writing all of the user stories with AI, obviously then checking it themselves, it's being thrown in linear, and people are actually using multiple terminals in Cursor, plan mode, everything. And then, yeah, it's crazy how much productivity gains we've been having there compared to 2023. I think 3 years ago, we've seen 7 times more volume per developer, right? In terms of lines of code. So it's hard to say is lines of code the best metric, but it's
Yeah,
better in my opinion than the pull requests being created, because pull requests can be big and small, right?
yeah,
So
true.
that's really interesting. So we're really releasing quicker and quicker. Um, I think that's cool on the product development, or like my role as in like the CTO, and like I've also like a product owner
Mhm.
kind of role. What I really find cool, what I'm doing for a while now, is that the problems that we see with customers, I screenshot our product, I put it in Lovable.
Mhm.
Lovable recreates the whole screen, and I'm just iterating, right? I'm iterating, hey, my thoughts
Mm.
and things that I want to change. Then Lovable is being updated, so we have basically a V2 of a feature that we have.
Yeah.
I create a Loom video, I share it with a customer, I get feedback, I tweak and reiterate. But that can happen now within like 2 or 3 days. Previously,
Mm.
it would
It
be
take weeks.
it took so long. I think I need to sit down. I need to make wireframes. I need to talk with our designers and what they think about it. Then I would create a loom, but then we're maybe 4 or 5 days further. Then I need
Yeah,
to
yeah.
iterate, and all of these iteration steps are being reduced from, let's say, 4 or 5 days to less than a day.
Mm.
Um, so I think that's quite interesting now as well. Yeah, people are asking, yeah, why Lovable and not Cloud Code? Yeah, just I think it's just like the visual thing. It is not spinning up something. I can just copy a screenshot. I don't really care in the prototyping phase. I also don't care
Yeah,
of
it doesn't matter.
our design system. Obviously,
Yeah.
well, eventually we'll translate it into our design system, but to validate a problem and a
Mhm.
solution for it,
Exactly.
I really don't care it to be our design
It's not
system.
about the visual design, exactly. It's about the
Yeah, the
UX and
customers
the
also don't care.
specs.
So
Mm.
I think that's cool. What we're doing recently is that we have like our own open claw agents running in Slack.
Okay.
We have like a full AI, agentic workforce now, with all of the OpenClaw features. It's built on top of OpenClaw, so we basically have like a marketing agent, a product agent, engineering agent, analyst, a sales ops. So yeah, they're running in real time. They're doing customer research. They're transcribing all our meetings that we have within the company.
Mm-hmm.
Each agent is gathering their own insights and make notes and share that with each other. So I think that's something that I've been working on myself to implement that in the company. But that's, I think, what that's doing is on another level. To be honest, now I think like product change logs are being written with these agents. If we release something, we have an agent checking every morning. Hey, did we release something? Did we release something? It cross checks all the meetings that customer success had with all the customers, where customers were mentioning something about a specific feature, and the agent knows now, hey, we released this. 3 months ago, you had a meeting with this company.
Mm.
You should inform them about the new feature, right? It's like this whole way of like a new paradigm of
Mm-hmm.
automation, and having each department having its own like AI colleague that
Mm.
augments them and helps them with the gaps, right? I think that's
Yeah.
really interesting, especially with gaps. If you're also growing, you're having more and more people on your team. Sometimes things get through the slips,
Yeah.
right? It
Yeah. Yeah.
happens, right? But these agents are always seeing it and giving you notifications about it. And I think that's something that I will be more focusing more and more on, on
Mm.
the open cloud things, and how we are now building that within Slack. We also have like agents checking our error logs, and if there's an error, it will research the error, what was happening, if it's related to a release. If not, it is proposing a fix. And if
Mm.
it found a fix and the test passes, it creates a pull request, and it has to be checked by a developer. But yeah, like I would never, I would never know how that's. Yeah, it's just really good. I'm really just really, as a technical guy, I'm really like, what the hell is going on? Like things are happening
Yeah,
automatically.
exactly.
Agents are talking with each other. So we release something, it creates this product change log, and it helps the marketing agent to draft social media posts out of it. And it drives and creates a content calendar for colleagues to post some things
Mm.
on LinkedIn and help them like reduce the what you
Love
call
it.
like the writer's block, right? You
Yeah.
fully
Yeah.
reduce that and give them all of these insights. Yeah, it's crazy what it will do. It's before you would need a lot of people to do what we're now doing with all of these agents. Also, like a really practical example is being top of all the trends in our market, right? We have an agent making a whole intelligence report on competitors, on market trends every Monday morning. And yeah, it's like so much value. Previously, you would maybe have like an intern. I think I also think a lot about like this way of thinking about what if you would have like um 10 people like really doing these manual processes, right? What would you do, right? You would
Mm.
check all of the news websites to see if there's new customers,
Exactly.
what's being happening, right? If there's customers being expanding to other countries, because that's quite a lot of interesting
Mm-hmm.
intelligence for our sales team to reach
Yeah.
out, right? And yeah, that would be a manual job. You maybe have like 5 people scrolling down the internet, or maybe you have
Yeah.
VAs, right?
Exactly.
Some companies work with a
Yeah.
lot of VAs. Yeah, that's a whole. We automated that fully now with these agents. So I think,
Mm.
yeah, I'm really excited about that, and what it will bring. Also on a personal level, I'm really into like this open claw movement. That I have like these personal assistants.
Yes.
Yeah, they read our email, and I have my Garmin. I integrate my Garmin data with it, and it interviews me every Friday. And I'm walking, and it interviews me about my week. Like it looks up my calendar, and I
Mm-hmm.
like my management, what things I worked on, and it will interview me. And yeah, I will just talk with AI while I'm walking outside, and then it will help me draft content for the next week. Like, right. So all of
Yeah.
these workflows, I think really cool. I think what's happening, but I think it takes time, right?
Yeah,
You
it's
get it
internal tooling. Yeah.
what's possible, and it can be really overwhelming at first, I think. And it will take some time to get to know, okay, what are agents? What can they actually do? But I think that with the Opus, especially when Opus, I think 4.6 released, there really was this breakthrough. I think that happened a couple of months ago. And like the difference is night and day, right? I mean, we also see it with how quickly we develop, even quicker than before that model, and it is crazy. It's one shots most of the features. Maybe you have to like prompts with 2 or 3 prompts afterwards, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
it's for us, it's nice because we want to stay lean and mean. We had funding before, but we're now profitable. We're not relying on any outside investors, but that means we also cannot hire 10 people now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We want to expand to a country. We have like this big budget, and we get 5 sales reps to conquer UK or whatever. That's not uh,
Mm.
we're being able to do. So we need to be really
Yeah,
yeah
yeah.
this and like a lot of sales operations is also really now automated. So every company gets research. We refresh all the accounts. Our
Yeah.
CRM is always up to date with the people that are working at the companies that we want to target, right? With tools like Clay. Maybe you're familiar with
Yeah,
Clay.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so we can easily have like a good view about who are our real customer ICPs, right? Because now our ICP is so narrowed with the LinkedIn database, so you would never
Yeah.
had a chance to really have like a good and accurate list of what companies should use Oneteam. But now with AI, you can run all of these research agents, and you can do your whole lead scoring so advanced with AI that that's really really interesting. And what I also found interesting that I still speak to recruiters and developers where they're still debating if they need to use ChatGPT or Copilot, right? So it's like really interesting. You see, some companies are like going really fast, and some are still, I don't know, still quite behind. So
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah. I'm curious with OpenClaw, like why OpenClaw specifically? Like you mentioned you made all these agents. So what I understand is like you use it in general to generate, like most of the use cases you explained are like reports that the team can take and then take it from there and process it. But it's something that I haven't seen. Like for example, I've seen setups with cloud agents because you can have like remote agents there as well. And I'm curious, what is special about OpenClaw that you decided to go there? And if I understand correctly, you interact with OpenClaw mainly through Slack, like as a company, right? Or is it plugged into also like GitHub and other stuff? I'm not
so
super familiar with OpenClaw,
if
so I'm
you're
curious.
interested in this, I have like an organic gram, is it called? I think in English as
Yeah.
well, like a company overview of like the agent workforce that we have. I can
Oh,
share that, and I can quickly walk through it if you want.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, if you're up for it, no problem.
I think it gives you maybe like a better idea if I can. I need to give all of these.
Yeah, it's pretty wild with AI, honestly. And it's for me, I had a resistance in the beginning because of all the clickbait online. Like, it created a bit of I felt like it's a toxic environment to be into. But then I was like, okay, screw the noise, just kind of a experiment and see if there is anything into it.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Like, also for design, like what we're seeing is that for me, the biggest kind of a change that I've experienced with design is that I don't like, I can start with the deep data. Like I can ask, like, I'm solving this problem. Go and look into support tickets and give me some insights. Like suddenly I can tap into intelligence. That's the thing that I personally really love in terms of the product design. I can brainstorm ideas. Like I feel like the problem with AI is when people think that it's a smart person in the team that should take the decisions and not a co-thinker. Like I really see it as a co-thinker where that is really good at fetching a ton of data and analyzing them super fast, something that my brain cannot do actually. And then it's a prototyping part, like what you described with Lovable. Like as a designer, you can act more and more as a PM as well. And also you also can increase the quality. Like now I'm going into a bit on the delight part. Like you said, animations are easy, 100%. And then if you have a team, like you have a brand creative director that has the ideas, it's easier than ever to bring these ideas into life. So the idea is a blocker now, not the execution, which is like super fascinating for me, because you just need to push your creativity and your thinking and the quality. For me, not everybody, like most people online talk about the speed gains about AI, which I'm totally up for it, and I see the velocity and the productivity gains. But for me, what's truly fascinating is the craft and quality gains that can have. Suddenly, you can sweat the details more because they don't compete with your roadmap and all these things because they're easier, for example. So that's something that is very interesting for me, is that I, as a designer and like as a product and growth designer, I don't have to spend time in Figma outlining flows and connecting screens and explaining the transition. I can just build in the code base, and then I can use Figma to refine visual details, for example. So that's something we've seen as well.
Yeah, so I cannot, apparently I need to restart my Google Chrome because I had something with the permissions. So I think that's not a good
Never
idea.
mind. Yeah, never mind. We can skip that part.
The reason why I went with OpenClaw, so we started out, I started building out these agents on like just Claude code, right? And you can make all of these skills. So each agent has like skills. And then you can still have like the cron job. So every Monday morning you run this agent and it will do, for example, it will analyze last week's meetings, or it goes and find all of these news websites that are important for your company and extract all of these interesting data. But what you saw is basically, I was just thinking about it, and they were really reinventing the wheel there in terms of like also like permissions, right? And security, which people have access to which agents, because we also have like a management agent that is writing investor updates, right? It's creating like an executive report based on all of the company-wide meetings that we can see, hey, did we see any objections from our sales meetings that we didn't know before, right? All of these things, and OpenClaw already has that in place, right? So it has these channels, it has a Slack channel, it has all of the security protocols in place. They have like a really nice control UI where you can easily debug what went wrong. For example, if things and agents are being talked to within Slack, because people in our workspace can just tag our agents and talk to them. And debugging sometimes when things failed, it was just a hard time. So it has access actually to a lot of tooling. So it has access to our product database, right? Read only, obviously, only read only in specific tables in our product database. It has access to like Apollo or Intercom, GitHub, Figma MCP, CRM, Datadog, where all the errors happening, and Linear also, where basically things are moving forward in terms of product development. So it can, based on all of that context, it can just do things, right? And I think what's quite powerful as well with OpenClaw is the memory management. So every day they will process what happened, what kind of conversations happened, and it will make a summary of things that happened, right?
So the
every day,
pre-made setup, essentially. Yeah, you
it's
don't
all
need to
pre-made,
reinvent the
right?
wheel.
And I think it's quite interesting to work on top of this framework, and I rather add like things on top of that instead of like building it ourselves. The other thing that I think is quite important as well is that it is just a framework, right? I can plug in any AI model. So like, let's say our product agent maybe uses Opus. Maybe our marketing agent uses GPT 5.5. Maybe in 12 months, or maybe even in 6 months, there will be an open source version of the current level of Opus 4.6, probably, right? And then but then like 10 times cheaper. So we can then easily swap all these models based on the tasks that they need to do, and we're not really vendor locked in with Anthropic. That, I think that's also quite an important thing for us.
I see. That's a very good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like cursor. You don't have to stick to one specific LLM, like on the side of coding, for example, versus using Cloud Code straight away.
Yeah, and it
Yeah, that's a
learns.
good
It
one.
just keeps learning. So, for example, I asked the agent to introduce himself, and then asked all of my colleagues to introduce themselves as well. So now the agent knows if our tech lead is talking to our agent, it knows that it's the tech lead and where he's responsible for. So it all the answers will also be tailored to his role. So
Mm,
yeah, then you really see it is like really, and we've been using OpenClaw now for not that long. Cloud Code we did, but over time, if you get so much memory, it gets to know what happened in your company, what kind of meetings you had with customers, right? Maybe you
yes.
have like already 1 year of customer meetings. You can put that in, and you can get so much value out of it. You
Mm,
see why people, maybe you have like a lot of sales scores and people are doubting, hey, why should I work with you? And you can import all of
mm,
the data, you analyze it, and it will kept on learning from it. And then it will give you nudges. Hey, yeah, this is the third time we see this objection. Why maybe you need to do this and this, right? So
yeah. Yeah, it's a
it's
really Agents are really, I think it's like one of the most geeky, lovely topics to dive into, like how you can create
yeah.
all these, because it's like, it's small problems that you solve in the company to create more intelligence, create better output for your team and help and like empower your team. Like I really love
Empowering.
the thinking and perspective. Like everybody's saying about replacing. For me, I'm really into empowering. It's like you can make
Yeah.
your company 10 times stronger with AI. It's not about
Sure,
keeping the same strength and getting rid of people. Yeah.
it's like an AI buddy, right? We also have like an AI
Yeah.
buddy feature that we recently added in our product, which is basically
Ah, yeah, I
trained.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's trained on all the policies and all of the internal documents that the company has. So yeah, we're reducing a lot of routine questions that are normally asked to managers or HR that we're now reducing and can be asked by employees directly from within our
Mm.
in our app. So yeah, for sure, it's augmenting, not replacing. It is m- helping you to think bigger as well. I think. What
Mm,
would we do if we would have 10 times bigger workforce? What would we
yeah,
do? And then doing that, but then see if we can do it in the agentic way. I think that's a
yeah,
really
yeah.
interesting thought experiment because that's possible. It is possible. We
Mm,
are diving through thousands of prospects every week with an agent.
mm, mm,
How many
yeah,
SDRs do we need before to do this? Maybe five or maybe more.
exactly. And it's always like the boring works, like
And it's also
super
boring,
minor,
right?
repetitive.
Go
Yeah, the
LinkedIn,
data.
find latest news, who's the
Exactly,
current
exactly,
contact person, find their email, write a personalized message, all of these things.
exactly. Yeah,
Seeing what is the biggest fit, what happened, are they expanding, how do they look at their culture? It's on their working by or career website. Yeah, you go through it, you read. Yeah, it's like now they can
e-
spend actually calling them, meeting them in person, going to events with the same group of
the
people,
high
right?
value stuff. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I
So
feel
that's
like
also yeah.
these are the jobs that I'm gonna have, let's say, not a problem, but like I hired an executive assistant recently, like Steph. She's based in New York, and I was doing like interviews with other ones, for example, and like some of them said, yeah, with AI, who knows if executive assistants are gonna exist? And I'm like, hey, you don't get the role of executive assistant. It's not about the manual tasks. It's about owning. Like being responsible for specific parts of the business. And it doesn't matter how you take things done. It could be with or without AI. With AI, probably can get more stuff done. But yeah, like if like the people that are going to have problem in the future are the task executors, I call it, and the people that won't have any problem and never had any problem is the people that take ownership over areas. Like if you design, let's say we work together and we lead your design. Like what you're outsourcing is taste and like product experience. Like now have somebody to wake up and worry about, is our product easy to use, for example, so that you can
Yeah.
focus on something else. Where some, let's say if we talk about design, some other designers would think, oh, it's like that it's like the pixel pushers that they just think that I'm delivering screens. No, you own something in the business. And you're responsible to make sure it's world class, for example, and then you can use whatever tool to achieve that outcome. So also like with the agents, it's pretty much what I said with SDRs. It's not about replacing the people. It's about letting them do the high value tasks, which is talk to people, go to events, build relationships, which is actually what sales is about. Sales is not about spending 10 hours per day on LinkedIn and fetching data and putting them into spreadsheets and so on. This is like really brainless kind of work. But yeah, open close, super really nice insights. Like it's one of my to-dos to dive into. Like we hired an AI mentor a month ago so that can go deeper into AI in a more systematic way. And OpenClaw is in our to-do list for next month. But really, like for me, what really stood out is the framework thinking is that with AI, one of the values that I've seen is the compounding, that it compounds because you build, and you build on top of something, right?
Yeah.
And no matter if your team leaves, let's say in the past, like you would build this knowledge on a person, probably that person would go, knowledge is gone. Maybe they would document some stuff, but it doesn't really work this way. You cannot create like 100 pages of documentation, expect everybody to know these things. Now you have a system that is always in the company and you have a compounding knowledge that the whole team, no matter who works, can tap into. And I really like what you said is that it's a framework and I'm not attached to Claude because Claude, you never know what happens with every company. So you have a system and then you can use whatever LLM. And also for different use cases, different LLMs can sign, right? Like if it's marketing or coding or something else. I know it's like we had booked until like 45, but I'm wondering if you have like 10 more minutes to dive into like AI into design. I'm not sure if you have any calls. I'm curious, like when it comes to, so you mentioned about coding, like most of the use cases you mentioned were like sales, marketing, coding, for example, a bit of product management as well, like prototyping, like PM, product management design. I'm curious on the design side, like do you have like a specific way you use AI? And I can go deeper into our workflow and everything, but yeah, I'm curious if you have a very specific way that you use AI, like workflows there.
So I think the only way how we use AI in design, like I said, is like we with the Lovable way, right? It comes up
Yeah.
with quite some interesting UX flows, but that's also how I prompt it, right? So
Yeah.
I know what good flows are, what we need to think about, and AI will obviously fill a lot of gaps, right? All of the edge cases, because I think
Yeah.
about the happy flow only, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of edge cases, obviously, that you need to think about. And then, yeah, currently we pass that eventually down to our design team, and it will look at it, put it in our design system, and then our developers are using the Figma MCP to import designs and all of the paddings and everything, and then it will scaffold all of these app screens. But that's all. That's not really one-to-one, so it still needs some tweaking, but it is helping,
So
I
the
think,
design
let's
team is still
say.
in Figma. Okay.
What?
The design team mostly creates the full feature in Figma, the designs.
Yeah, so but I'm also, yeah, why do we need I'm also thinking do we still need Figma, or what would Figma's place be going
Yeah.
into the future, right? Because technically, if we would have like the Figma's design system within, we already are using Storybook with all of the components, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
technically, we could already go and
Yeah.
directly go into like our app and work, right? So, but it's just, I think, a couple of things why I still keep Figma now is one, we need it we need it like in Figma anyway for some nice visuals, eventually maybe for marketing. I think we keep it. Prototyping, yeah, I do in Lovable. So yeah, it's like it is developing. I'm not sure yet where to go. But yeah, currently
Yeah.
this is how we're doing it, and for
And
now it's fine. But yeah, really curious about
yeah, on
your
your workflow, you mentioned something that I want to dive a bit deeper, and I'm gonna go like all in into our workflow. You said I create the prototype, validate the solution, then pass it over to the team to apply the design system. So, what is the role of designers right now in your company? I think you mentioned you work like with an agency. You don't have like a specific in-house, like traditional in-house designer. Like, is it that they're mostly like they take a validated concept, so they don't do so much product thinking, and it's more about this is how this should work most on the visual design. So are they more focused on visual design and creating
it's
a
more
handoff?
focused. Yeah. Exactly, it's more focused
Um,
on the UI, and because
I
UX
see.
now is more, for example, we have like so much knowledge over the last couple of years with features and requirements. So we have like, thank God, we have a big backlog, but we're going through it quite quick now. So I
Yeah.
hope it will still be there, and I don't know when. Um, but yeah, we're doing mostly because me and my co-founder we're so product obsessed. That and also like our customer success team is also talking with a lot of customers. Yeah, we basically built on top of their requirements, and
Knowledge. Yeah.
sometimes we don't even need a design because our developers also know how things might look like because we already have a design system in place.
Hmm,
Um,
hmm.
so yeah, our designers are now basically converting um, ugly
Concepts.
simple concepts into our design system in beautiful UI. And obviously
Mm,
tweaks, but the main concept still comes from us because we directly talk with the customers. So our designers don't have like customer interviews. We always do that within our tech lead, our customer success, and me and my co-founder are mostly talking with customers.
mm,
Also our sales team. So yeah, that's currently how we work. And
I
I think
see. I
it's
see.
nice because like we don't have that much like layers, so we can go really,
Complexity.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one. And it's very interesting that design can look different in every company based on the team setup, for example. Like for example, the way that we work, we do a lot of product thinking. We don't like we're gonna pull input from customer success. So for example, to describe the full process and how AI comes into it, like I'll describe the example of one of the teams that we're working with, but it's pretty much the same format with most of the teams. So at ZenMate, which is like a similar business, the scheduling software for cleaning businesses, we have a weekly design call, and on the weekly design call we essentially have the key stakeholders, which is head of customer success, CEO, CDO, some developers depending on what we're going to discuss, and also a customer. That's also a key detail that I'm really into creating. It's cool to have all the reports and everything, like and all the AI generated insights, but I truly believe into having a user in the room every week, like somebody that is a good representation of our audience, to have them in the design call to think with us, give us different perspectives, and tap us on the emotional side of them, right? Not just the what do they need. So this is kind of the team setup. We meet every week, and we actually the design team owns like some projects. Not everything that goes live has to go through design. It's what I said. Sometimes it's pretty straightforward that with the design system, the dev team can fix it. And if there's any problem, we can always iterate later. It's not going to be a blocker. So we mainly own like more critical and complex stuff. Like now we're building a customer portal, how people can actually, the cleaning businesses can give access to their customers to have a portal where they can manage their appointments, the billing, because right now they're doing everything through email. It's something that the clients have been asking for. And the role of the design team essentially it's a mix of product management and UI design
Uh,
and UX and growth design is to make sure this experience, like that we scope out the V1, because scope creep is a big topic. Like we need to define what the MVP should look like, protect the scope, and then design a user flow that makes sense. It's super easy to use, test it with customers, and then make it very delightful as well. So the visual side of it, and how AI comes into this whole process is actually it's a full layer. So at first we have, like right now we're using Cloud Code, and in our setup, we have connected Cloud to the main sources of knowledge. So we have all the transcripts of onboarding and demo calls, and we can see what people are discussing. We've connected to the review sites, so we can crawl voice of customer. When I write copy, like we do all the UX copy, you can just ask, and of course you need to edit after, but you're like, hey, go and look at reviews and people said in the calls and write the copy based on that, because I don't want it to sound like marketing copy. I want it to sound like a customer who described that feature.
actually,
So that's a use case for copywriting. And then we edit, because AI always has this kind of a short sentences with a dot, a bit of aggressive tone of voice, a bit of a bro, I call it, like a vibe. And you always want to adjust the tone of voice. So we have skills on the UX writing. That's one where we pull customer reviews and transcripts and generate voice of customer. Intelligence on the product management side, not product management, but product thinking, which is intercom, support tickets, and transcripts of sales calls and onboarding calls. These are the two main sources. We can tap on these and brainstorm with Claude. Like, for example, another project for another team, we wrote an onboarding email campaign, right? Would you expect a designer to own this? Not really. And that's why we also have problem with marketing, is that we call ourselves designers, but I feel we're actually kind of reducing the value, because people think design is something just a visual, but it's more like product builders, I would call it maybe. And we worked on the onboarding email campaign, and we wrote it fully with Claude. And actually we gave Claude a framework. We wanted like these 4 types of emails, and it's a 30-day trial. So for the first 14 days, we want an email every day, and then every other 2 day, and every other day. And we have like very clear vision. That's super important with AI, to know where you want to go to. And then we pulled all the transcripts and voice of customer and wrote these emails with AI. And like in a few weeks, we wrote like 30 emails, and they're pretty good. Like we adjust the tone of voice and everything. So that's another use case. And when it comes to, now I've described everything before you build the actual interface. Now, when it comes to building the product, we actually don't start with Figma anymore. Like we don't go to Figma, because I'm like, why would I? It doesn't make sense to me anymore to start from Figma, because I want to build a solution. Like what you're doing in Lovable is what we're doing on Cloud Code. And the reason we don't use Lovable, for example, is because you can just do it in the code base. You can create a new branch, use the existing design system, and it's not about shipping to production. So that's a very important realization we had recently. The fact you prototype not in production, but on the real code base, is not that suddenly you're a developer and can ship code, because that's way more complex. It needs to be secure, maintainable, scalable, all these things. But you build in the real environment, so with the real constraints, and also when you want to do a customer demo, you don't have to ask them, imagine this. It's like, hey, this is what you're using every day. Go to our staging server and play with this thing and tell me what you think, for example. So everything becomes better because it's in the real environment, and the design decisions as well, right? So I try to create fake prototypes using like a different repo. We built like a Next.js repo, but there you always miss details. That's the thing. When you build in the real app, you start thinking, for example, the customer portal, oh, there is the admin side where users need to configure that portal. And I realized that all these settings are scattered in 8 different settings pages, like the business name, the logo, the photos of the cleaners, all these things. Maybe we should create a custom onboarding flow on how people create their portal and invite their customers, for example. So this is something that you wouldn't see on a fake prototype, because you cannot create a fake prototype of everything in the app. So we actually start with Cloud Code, we write specs, and then we start building things one by one. And there's a big difference between designing Figma and then going to Cloud versus just going straight to Cloud or whatever LLM you use, because you start designing details there. And we use Figma only for hardcore UI design. So now, for example, on the customer portal, I want to experiment with how I'm going to display every appointment, because now I just have a basic card with the date and the cleaner's name and the price. And I was like, how can I add some rails here? How can I make this more delightful? So for visual concepts exploration, which is not flows, just purely a very specific component, that's where Figma shines, because you want to play with the pixels, right? When you want to build a product and not play with the pixels, then Cloud is the best way to do it. And for me, suddenly, we have micro animations, things that would never make it into production. I can start thinking about many, like, for example, you have the onboarding model, like a user opens the portal. Now we open the model, a memo from the founder, and use a typewriter effect to kind of type the notes, as if kind of the owner of the company is typing a letter to them. These things, how can you pass it to a developer and find a developer that's going to pay attention? That's another thing with designs. Like developers skip many details because they just want to ship the thing. So that's actually how we use it. Figma is like now it's 80% AI, not AI, like designing with AI, and 20% Figma. But as I said, because I've seen also when the rest of the team is trying to prototype solutions, the prompting is what makes the difference. You need to have a vision of where you want to go. Like I asked it to make this typewriter effect because I had a very specific experience that I want to create. It's and as you described before, AI can, like, depending on the problems you are solving, there are different workflows to create. Like I mentioned, the UX writing, tapping on knowledge, prototyping with code. Design system is another use case where the design team has started owning more of the design system, and then we have some reviews from the devs. It's a process that is evolving. But last comment on this, because I don't want to make my answer too long, is that there's a confusion in the market, I believe, and also we had it at first, that the fact you generate code doesn't mean that you suddenly can zip code, right? So now the beauty in this whole thing is that we can all use the same material, the design and the developers. So if you think about making glasses, I'm not making sketches of the glass and then expect somebody to make the glass and see if this glass is nice or not. I can touch it. If this glass is going to be the one that is going to go into production and like to the factory to produce and so on, is a different one. And then you need the technical knowledge of an engineer. So for us, we actually, even if we design in the real code base, we don't aim to zip that code. We have this ambition to create more and more rules so that the devs can use that code. But now we see it as a prototype in the same way that they would use a Figma prototype, actually.
For sure.
It just happens to be on a branch instead of a
Yeah.
page in Figma, for example. So,
Yeah, good one. I think I
that,
also probably will start playing around with Cloud Code directly on our repo because we're already, the good thing is we already have our storybook and our design system quite structured, right? I think that's like quite necessary because otherwise it will probably create a lot of new components and bloat your whole
yeah,
code base. So I think that's an interesting point as well that I will probably try out with. And yeah, for sure on your shipping thing. I mean, obviously, people think that it can now build apps and everything, but how many questions I get from some friends of mine that are also entrepreneurs that are non-technical that are building like some small apps, and then they're messaging me, "Hey, I cannot deploy. It doesn't build. It's broken." And then, yeah, I said, yeah, you wanted to vibe code, right? Yeah, go and vibe code then.
have fun.
Have fun. Good luck. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes what it spits out is quite ugly. So I think you need some specific skills in place to make sure like the code also stays structured. Because otherwise it will be quite hard for developers to debug as well. But yeah, I think interesting point. I will definitely try out Cloud Code within the repo. Because it doesn't really make that much sense that I'm doing it with Lovable now. The only thing I was afraid of previously was that our code base is so big that it might have a hard time to work through it and see all of our
Yeah.
standards and conventions. But I think the models now, and especially Cloud Code, got a lot of good grades now that they really figure out how your code base works. Previously,
That's
I
my
can
experience.
remember
Yeah.
when when Cloud Code first started, you had all of these skill files where you had to really describe your
Yeah.
framework, your structure, how you're working with databases, but you don't need that, all of that. You don't need it. It now figures it out themselves and quite good. So yeah, good one. Yeah.
Yeah. And happy to share, like, you can always ping me, like, and happy to jump on a call, like, to share, like, the exact workflow and everything. But
Yeah,
yeah,
will be
as you
good.
said, on this one, Claude is smart enough now. Like, we have a Ruby on Rails with a React SPA on top of it. Like, the Ruby on Rails is the legacy part. And it's like a 10 years SaaS product. So there is a lot of code in there, and Claude doesn't have any issue. Like, now I build like a new magic link authentication mechanism and upgrading new user settings and so on. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's good
Now
enough to
also,
prototype new features.
I think what's good also, where we're a bit lucky, I think as well. Most of the models are trained on these TypeScript and JavaScript frameworks, right? And we're
Yeah.
fully TypeScript, so backend and front end. So that's also making it quite easy. So the models are, I think,
True.
also way better than I think coding Ruby on Rails, but that probably changed now maybe with the new models because I think like previously it would maybe be harder. But yeah, there's a lot of MCPs, right, where you can get like the latest docs and stuff like Contact 7, for example. I would recommend everyone to use. But yeah, exciting
Yep.
times.
Awesome. Yeah.
So,
Thanks a lot for your time today, man. It
all
was
right, thanks for
a
having
beautiful
me.
episode. Many cool insights.